Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Bharati Karunapatram Bharati Padabhushanam Bharati Padamarudam Bharati Tirthamashre Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvajnam Vidhushekara Bharatim. It has really been our great fortune to live as contemporaries to the Mahasannidhanam and Sannidhanam of the Sringeri Dakshinamnaya Sharada Peetham. For the past 1 year, we have been celebrating the Suvarna Bharati Mahotsava, which happened to be the 50th year of the Sannyasa Svikara of our Mahasannidhanam Jagadguru Sri Bharati Mahaswamina. And it has been a real fortune for us to witness all the activities right from Kashmir till Kanyakumari as it progressed. Everybody contributed, all schools contributed, all the Vidwans contributed, all the Laukikas contributed. There were a lot of blood donation camps that happened. There were a lot of Veda Sadas, Shastra Sadas that happened. And it was found that everybody, irrespective of your age, creed, they started to contribute to this. And it was a great Mahotsava. Now, it is a chance again given to us, as all these activities were planned and executed by our Jagadguru Sannidhanam Sri Vidhushekara Bharati Mahoswamigal. Acharya has now instructed us to celebrate Vajrotsava Bharati, which happens to be the 75th Vardhanti Mahotsavam of Jagadguru Bharati Mahaswamigal of Dakshinamnaya Sharada Peetham. We can expect the same level of activities to continue. In fact, in a more energetic fashion, reaching out to more people or making more people contribute in this Mahotsava. During the Vardhanti day or on the Vardhanti day, when Jagadguru Sannidhanam gave an Anugraha Bhashanam, Acharya conveyed that there are many activities that was part of Suvarna Bharati are going to be permanent activities of the Sri Matha hereafter. So, Acharya stressed upon one point where Acharya has already told on the daily Parayanam of Bhagavad Gita, if possible, along with the Bhashya Patha also, with respect to their own energy levels. Yathashakti, they can do Parayana, they can do Mananam, or they can also involve in Bhashya Patanam. So what is the question that arises here is, of all the Granthas, why is Acharya again stressing upon Bhagavad Gita alone? There are few questions to be addressed here. Why is Bhagavad Gita so special? If we start answering this from the perspective of Bhagavatpada Acharya alone, with respect to the Amukam of the Bhashyam, Bhagavatpada tells the first reason why Bhagavad Gita is special, because this was told by none other than Swayam Bhagavan himself.
Khalu Narayana Bhagavan.
Sa Bhagavane Yaswayam Padmanabhasya Mukapatmati Vinishruta, as the Gita Mahatmyam goes. Bhagavatpada Acharya extends from there and tells the Bhagavan who gave us Bhagavad Gita, who wrote the Bhagavad Gita. These are two predominant reasons why Bhagavad Gita is very special. Padmanabha, Bhagavan himself, such a Bhagavane Jnana Aishwarya Shakti Bhala Virya Tejobhihi Sada Sampannaha Trigunatmikam Swam Mayam Mula Prakritim Vashikritya Ajaha Avyayaha Bhutanam Ishwaraha Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavopi Sanne. This is how Bhagavatpada Acharya tells what Bhagavan is. And this Bhagavan from this state, he is giving us the Gita entirely. I know this is not enough. If it would have stopped here only, Bhagavan giving Arjuna Gita would have been a story by itself. Now we'll have to get the Gita. That is where Bhagavata Yatha Upadishtam Vedavyasaha Sarvajnaha Bhagavane Gita-kyehi saptabhihi shlokasatehi upanipabandha. Vedavyasacharya tied the entire Gita-upadesha into 700 slokas and gave it to us. And now, who gave us Bhagavad Gita? It is none other than Bhagavan himself. Who wrote the Bhagavad Gita? It is none other than Sarvajnaha Vedavyasa himself. Now, idam Gita Shastram Samasta Vedartha Sara Sangraha Bhutam Durvigneyartham. So, this Bhagavad Gita happens to be the essence of the entire Shastram, which covers the entire Shastram. Vedavyasa has given us in a very comprehensive way, which sets the tone for everybody and answers the question with respect to all the available Shastras. Why is Acharya again emphasizing on Bhagavad Gita? Because as we say, Acharya is also writing Durvignayartham. It requires a commentary to understand the Tattvartha of Gita. At times, it could be found that there are slokas which are self-contradicting in nature. In one place in Gita, Bhagavan tells Aneka Janma Samsiddha. In another place, Bhagavan tells Nachirat Partha. Naturally, a sadhaka would have a question, why is this? So it requires a commentary. That too, Acharya writes further, Bhagavan gave this, Vedavyasa wrote it down, and I am writing the commentary to this. So this gives us space to think. The same Bhagavan who told, the same Bhagavan who wrote, it is now the same Bhagavan who is doing the Vyakhyanam also. With all this in mind, we'll have to undertake this Gita Parayanam with utmost respect as instructed by Jagadguru Sannidhanam. Bhagavad Gita is great from many perspectives. What is Acharya expecting us to take away from Bhagavad Gita in this Nityanusandhana?
Smritapi tarunatapam karunaya harantendranam abhangura tanutvisham valayita shatam vidyutaihi kalindagiri nandini tatasuradru malambini madiyamati chumbini bhavatu kapi kadambini shastrabdhi paradrishvanam sangahinam taponidhim bhaje shri bharati tirtha gurum bhadroghadayakam vidhuvad jagadananda sandhayi gurushekharah manase sannidhattam me vidhushekara bharati. Offering my Sashtanga Pranamas once more to the Padmas of the Ubhaya Jagadgurus. As you said, Ji, the Bhagavad Gita, Samasta Vedartha Sara Sangraha Bhutam Durvignayam. So it is none other than the essence of the Vedas. That shloka is there, Sarva Upanishado Gavaha Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha. So if the Vedas are a cow that is ready to give milk, especially the Upanishads, if you squeeze out the milk and make it ready for consumption, that is what Bhagavan has done from the Vedas to the Gita. So the simple answer is that the point of the Gita, whether Acharya has told us to do Parayana or whether Vyasa Maharshi has given it to us or whether Bhagavatpada has done Vyakhya for it, anytime an Acharya Purusha tells us anything about Gita, the highest goal of it is getting the jnana that is told in the Upanishads. Because there is no other higher goal that one can possibly set even for any other task. In the gamut of Sanatana Dharma, the highest goal that one can have is getting that jnana. And the Gita is a prime highway for that, which is why that is first and foremost recommended, not just today by Sannidhanam Varu, but actually exactly 18 years back. Jagadguru Sri Bharati Mahaswami Varu started the Gita Jnana Yajna in Sringeri, wherein anyone who has memorized the 18 chapters of Gita can come, recite it, be examined by a Vidwan, then has the incredible bhagya of being able to tell a few shlokas in front of Acharya and then being graced with prasada by Acharya. And then obviously will be given some satkara, some monetary sambhavana also will be given. So this program has been set in place 18 years back. And it is very nice that exactly for Vajrotsava Bharati, 18 years of this have passed. Because 18 is a very nice sankhya for Mahabharata, 18 main parvas, if you don't take the smaller parvas, then 18 adhyayas of Bhagavad Gita, etc. So with all this in mind, Gita for this reason has always been a very important text. That is why it is part of the Prasthanatrayi. So the Prasthanatrayi, as you very well know, are the three texts that form the foundation for Indian philosophy. The Upanishads, Brahmasutras and Gita. So the such importance has been given to the Bhagavad Gita that it is a foundational pillar of Indian philosophy. Because in our Puranas, this Gita is actually, when we say Gita, we usually end up meaning Bhagavad Gita. But this Gita is actually it is a genre of a text. So it is why in the Puranas we see many Gitas. In the Bhagavata Purana itself, you have Rubhu Gita, Uddhava Gita, Bhikshu Gita, Brahmara Gita, Shruti Gita. Then in other Puranas also you have Ganesha Gita. Then in Mahabharata itself you have the Uttara Gita, also called the Anu Gita. That also has many things that many nice Vishayas that Bhagavatpada himself quotes in his Laghu Bhashyas, like the Vishnu Sahasrama Bhashya, Sanat Sujatiya Bhashya. Bhagavatpada quotes liberally from, and I think the Taittiriya Bhashya also, Bhagavatpada quotes liberally from this Anugita, which is told by Krishna to Arjuna after the war again. And the Padma Purana, you have the Shiva Gita, taught by Shiva to Rama, when Rama is crying over Sita in the forest. So this term Gita is applied to any portion of the Puranas that talks about Jnana. But obviously, as you said, Yasvayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmadvinisrita, the fact is Bhagavad Gita has, it is one step higher, because as we said one thing, Padmanabha Mukha Padmadvinisrita, it has come out of Bhagavan's mouth. But if you look at all these other Gitas also, many of these have come out of Bhagavan only. Anugita also came out of Krishna's mouth only, to the same listener, to the same Shrota. So what makes Bhagavad Gita special? So there we have one thing that we need to notice here, is that when Krishna told the Bhagavad Gita, he was not speaking as Devaki Putra Krishna. The Krishna that told the Bhagavad Gita was not speaking as Devaki Putra, but instead was speaking as the Ishvara. So the person that we see speaking in Gita is not the He Krishna, He Yadava, He Sakheti, but is instead that Ishvara who shows Arjuna the Vishwarupa. That is the entity that is doing Upadesha of the Bhagavad Gita. Whereas in the Anugita, that is not the case. There in the Anugita, it is the avatara of Bhagavan that is doing a Gita Upadesha there. Which is why actually in the Anugita, the situation is such that Arjuna comes to Krishna after the war. Pattabhisheka has happened for Yudhishthira. He says, you told me something in the beginning of the war. I understood it then. I thought I had understood it then. After that, we fought, many people died, this kingdom came, we were setting it up, Ashwamedha, all of this happened. I don't remember that properly. Can you please tell me that again? Then Krishna says, you need to understand what you are asking. When I told, Krishna tells this in Mahabharata, when I told that Gita, I was telling that established in my yoga. So basically Krishna is saying, I am not talking to you the way I normally talk. Then I was speaking to you as that Yogeshwara Krishna. I was not speaking to you just as the Devaki Putra Krishna. So if you want that again, that is not going to come very easily. But since you have asked, I will tell you again. And tells normally as Krishna, he tells the rest of the Gita. So not to say that Krishna is now somehow a jiva, but we mean that there is a difference between an avatara and we say Paripurna Tamasakshat, like that Ishvara, full Ishvara as Bhagavan, who can say Ahamatma Gudakesha, Sarvabhuta Shayastitaha. So Bhagavan has done Upadesha of this Gita in that level. And we see this come also in many places when Bhagavan says, Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Ahamavyam. Then Arjuna says, you were born a few years before or after me. How did you tell this to Surya in the beginning of time? In the same way, then Bhagavan says, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani. In the same way, Bhagavan says one place in Gita, Pura prokta mayanga, lokesmin dvividhanishta, pura prokta mayanaga, jnana yogena sankyanam, karma yogena yoginam. Pura prokta means I have told this before. Jnana yoga and karma yoga both do not occur in the Gita before this statement. So there Bhagavatpada writes in the Bhashya, Pura prokta, ityukte veda rupena prokta. So I have told about this jnana and karma when I did Upadesha of the Veda to Hiranyagarbha. So clearly the Vedopadeshta to Hiranyagarbha is not the same person, not the same individual. That is to say the body, the Chaitanya characterized by the body. That is what we mean. So it is very clear throughout the Gita that when Krishna is saying Aham, Mama, Maya, Mahyam, Me, Mama, all of this, it is not the individual Krishna, but Krishna the Paramatma that is speaking. So that is one thing to keep in mind. That is why Bhagavad Gita is so exalted. So what Jagadguru expects us to get out of it is exactly what Krishna expected Arjuna to get out of it. Because in both cases, it is a Jagadguru speaking to a samsari, a jnani speaking to an ajnani who is a shishya. So what the expectation in both cases is more or less the same. So then what was Krishna's expectation? We can see that in what he asks in the end. Kachideta Shrutam Partha Tvaikagrena Chetasa Kachid Ajnana Sammoha Pranashtaste Dhananjaya. Arjuna, first, did you listen to this with Shraddha, with Ekagrata, with focus? Second, is your moha removed? These are the two things that Krishna asked. So first of all, it is clear here that whatever we do, whether it is parayana or reading or anything, the first qualification that we need to have is Shraddha. We have to do it in that way if we are to get whatever phalita that is expected. Because Bhagavan says in Gita, Ashraddhaya hutan dattan tapastaptan kritan cheta asadityachyate partha nachatat pretya no iha. Whatever is done without Shraddha does not have a fruit in this world or the next. So that is one thing that has been told. So Bhagavan says in the end of Gita, his expectation for Arjuna is said that Kachideta Shrutam Partha Tvayekagrena Chetasa Kachid Ajnana Sammoha Pranashtaste Dhananjaya. Arjuna, have you heard this with Shraddha, with focus? And has your moha gone? Kachid Ajnana Sammoha Pranashtaste. Moha born of Ajnana. So there also there are two parts. Moha is there and Ajnana is there. So both of these two things are the expectation that Krishna is setting. And then Arjuna's response is Nashto mohaha smritir labdhat tat prasadat mayachita sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanantava. So the point of Gita is for us to get to this state. Nashto moha should go. Smritir labdha, we should get smriti out of Bhagavan's prasada, out of Bhagavan's anugraha. Sthitosmi gata sandeha, we should not have any doubts. Karishye vachanantava, we should follow Bhagavan's upadesha, the Guru's upadesha. This is, if we do this, we have obtained what Gita is meant for. So now if we look at part of this, Ajnana and Moha, what is the difference? Ajnana is the avidya, the not knowing that we are Brahman, thinking that we are the body, the indriyas, the manas, the jiva. Moha is born of that. So from that comes the mamakara. These people are mine. These I am this. I need that. I want this. If I lose, this is a problem. All of this comes from ajnana. This is moha. So the problems that we have in the laukika vyavahara, the sukha dukkhas, the feeling that we are gaining something or losing something, that we need something, that we don't want something, all of this comes under moha. So what Arjuna says is, no, moha is not there. And on top of that, smritir labdha. This smriti is very important because without that, we lose the ability to act. What is smriti? This comes again in Gita. Smriti bhramshat buddhinasha. So there, Bhagavatpada writes that smriti is shastracharyopadeshadi samskrita smritihi. So there are some teachings that Shastra gives us. There is some teaching that the Guru gives us. If we keep that in mind, then use our intellect and act, we will get the proper fruit out of our action. Many a time, we do not end up acting properly because either we have not kept the Shastra and the Guru Vakya in the mind, or we have not used our intellect properly, because both are needed. You need to know what Shastra is telling and what Guru is telling, and you also have to use your own brain. You have to use your intelligence. Our Shastra never tells you to turn off your brain and live your life on autopilot. So both of these are needed. That is Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinasha. The Smriti Bhramsha is forgetting what Shastra and Guru have taught. Buddhinasha is losing your ability to reason. Yukta Yukta Vichakshana. So both of these are necessary. So keeping both of these in mind, being able to use both of these properly is the phalita of Gita. And then Sthitosmi Gata Sandeha, we will not have any doubts as in how to act. Karishye Vachanantava, we will act as Bhagavan wants us to act, which is what? Doing our Vihita Karma. So now within this again, how should we act? What do we need to know to act? What we need to know is what is contained in Gita. For us to always be happy, how should we act? How should one behave? This is the summation of what is taught in Gita. That is why karma is told. That is why bhakti is told. That is why jnana is told. That is why yoga is told. So just to conclude this particular topic, if we look at why Bhagavad Gita was told in this juncture, because Arjuna's doubt was, these are all my people on the other side, Acharya, Pitarah, Putrah, Tathaiva Pitamaha, all of that is there. So I do not want to fight them. And his reason for that is, if this is the question, why should I fight them? If this is the question, there is no need for Krishna to tell Atma Jnana there. So what was the need for Krishna to tell Atma Vidya? Because Arjuna is saying that, why should I fight these people? Because fighting is my swadharma. If I fight them, what is the laukika phala I get? The Rajya. I have no desire for the Rajya. So therefore, then I don't need to do this. If you say no, the phala for swadharma is svarga. You do swadharma, there is some phala, punya that comes out of that. So you get svarga. That also I don't want. Apit trailokya rajyasya hetoh kinnu mahi krite. He says, I don't want even svarga. I have no desire towards that also. So if you say I have to do my swadharma for the sake of the laukika phala, the rajya, I don't want that, so I don't want to do this. If you tell me to do my Swadharma because it will give me Swarga, that also I don't want because my Mamakara is coming in the way. So therefore, there is no more reason for me to do my Swadharma. So it is then that Krishna has to come in and tell, the Phalita of your Swadharma does not end with this Iha and Amutra Artha Bhogas. If you do your Swadharma with Nishkama, it leads you to the Jnana Marga, which will give you permanent happiness, not the Kshanika, the fleeting happiness that is caused by the experience of some phala. So for you to get your foot into that Jnana Marga, you have to start by doing this Nishkama Karma, for which Swadharma is not optional. So from there it starts. And then what is that Jnana? What is the nature of that Jnana? How do I get that Jnana? Then the rest of the Gita logically follows from that. But Gita had to be told because Bhagavan is telling Arjuna that you have to do your Swadharma, keeping the bigger picture in the background. So that is why Ma Manusmara Yudhyacha Mame Vaishyasi. That is the sequence. Ma Manusmara. First remember me. Yudhyacha. Do your karma. With due course, Aneka Janma Samsiddha, as you said. Bhaktya Mamavijanati Avanyishchasmi Tattvata. After all of that, Tatvam Tattvato Jnata Vishadetadantram. After all of that, then Mame Vaishyasi. You will attain Laya in me, you will get moksha. So this is the long-term goal of Gita. Short-term goal, as we said, is Gata Sandeha. At least in a loka, see, everyone will not get jnana in this janma itself. At the very least, we will start our sadhana, and that will never go in waste. Because Kachinna Bhai Arjuna asks, if he dies in the middle, will not his sadhana go? Bhagavan says, that will never happen. He will always come back and the sadhana will continue. Second thing is, in our Laukika Vyavahara, what should we do? How should we decide what to do? That also is clearly told in Gita. So this is the phala of Gita, that we will know how to act for now. We will also know how to act for the long-term goal of jnana. So the hope of Acharya, or what Acharya wants from us as Shishyas, is we will first do Parayana. By doing Parayana, we will get an affinity with the Grantha. Because there is no lack of fame that Bhagavad Gita has. It is not that people need to be told that Bhagavad Gita exists. Because everyone knows about Bhagavad Gita. What is now needed is people need to know what is in Bhagavad Gita. People need to know what they should take from Bhagavad Gita. That is there are plenty of organizations in the world that are telling people to do Krishna Bhajana and do Parayana of Gita. We all know how many organizations are there that are doing that. But it is important that our sadhana is not limited to just doing Parayana and running away. We should use Gita for the purpose that Krishna intended it for. That is not to say that the Parayana does not have a phala. The Parayana certainly has a phala. But the Parayana is only part of the phala. It is not the full phala. If the Parayana was the only phala, there is no need for Bhagavatpada to write a bhashya. Bhagavatpada would just have said, Geyam Gita Nama Sahasram. That would have been the end of the Upadesha. You do Parayana of Gita. End of story. But that is not the final point of Gita. The point of Gita is whatever Bhagavatpada wrote the bhashya for. Whatever we are supposed to understand through Gita, understanding that is the fruit. We need to start that at least now. Which is why Acharya, being in the Jagadguru Sthana, taking this into mind and seeing the way that the world is right now, is telling us that you all know about Bhagavad Gita. You know that Bhagavad Gita is important for India, for Indian culture, for Sanatana Dharma. Now, do Parayana and make sure you understand what is in it and apply that to your life. That is what Acharya's goal for us as sadhakas is, for us as Shishyas is.
Got it. So now we understand that Bhagavad Gita has got a lot of commentators who have commented on it. We know a lot of commentators who have commented after the time of Bhagavad Gita. Just to name a few, we have Sridhara Swami, who has commented on Srimad Bhagavatam, also commented on Gita.
Very short Vyakhya.
Very short
and simple and to the point.
Yes. We have Gudhartha Deepika, written by the great Madhusudana Saraswati Padaha on Gita. And we also have Swami Jnaneshwarar, or Mauli as they call him in Maharashtra. He has written a Vyakhyana called Bhavartha Deepika, or as we call it, Jnaneshwari. We also have a very recent Vyakhyana on the Bhagavad Gita from a karma perspective. And in the Amukam of the Gita introduction, Bhagavatpada also writes there were some pre-existing commentaries to Bhagavad Gita. And Acharya also writes that those commentaries are not bringing out the intended meaning of Bhagavan Krishna. Now, with respect to all these Vyakhyanas, Is Bhagavatpadacharya's Vyakhyana also to be viewed as one among them? Or do we have a Vaisishtyam for the Vyakhyana of Bhagavatpadacharya? As we saw, Bhagavatpadacharya himself is writing that there is a requirement for a commentary. Durvijnayartham. And he also, as I just now mentioned, there are existing. So naturally, Acharya was not happy with the existing Vyakyanas. So there should be a reason for Acharya commenting on it. Now, what makes Acharya's Bhashyam stand apart? Or let me rephrase it. Why is reading Acharya's Vyakyanam inevitable when somebody has to study Bhagavad Gita? Or if we tell it is evitable, then they can go with other Vyakyanas. But we understand everybody reads Bhagavatpada's Vyakyana and then goes to Gudartha Deepika or Bhavartha Deepika or Jnaneshwari or any other. And not to leave, there are other Sampradayavadins also who have commented based on their own perspectives to Bhagavad Gita. It is very well known to all. So now coming back, what is the Vaisishtyam of Acharya's Vyakhyana on Bhagavad Gita? We would like to discuss upon that.
The simple answer as to why Bhagavatpada's Bhashya is inevitable is, there are many other Vyakhyanas which are trying to explain Bhagavad Gita in light of their Siddhanta. But Bhagavatpada's Bhashya is meant to explain Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavatpada's Bhashya is not meant to explain some Siddhanta through Gita. Bhagavatpada's Bhashya is meant to explain Gita as it is. So Gita as it is what is seen in Bhagavatpada's Bhashya. So we see this, the question, how do we know that that is the case? How do we know that it is Bhagavatpada has not just rubbed his own ideas on the Gita? So it will be very nice if the person who told Gita gives validation that what Bhagavatpada has told is correct. So now let us look at the Padma Purana. It is a very big Purana that has many important things. In that only this Gita Mahatmya comes for several chapters. So the usual Gita Mahatmya that we usually do Parayana of and all is from the Varaha Purana that Varaha Swami tells Bhudevi.
Okay.
Here in the Uttarakhanda of the Padma Purana, around 175th Adhyaya, a few Sargas Adhyayas come that are Mahavishnu telling Lakshmi about the Gita Mahatmya. So the starting of this Adhyaya is actually very interesting. So before I come to the exact answer, we just have to go through a small story here. So until then, many vratas have been told by Vishnu to Lakshmi. Many greatness of Salagramas worshipping that. The last Adhyaya before this is the greatness of Narasimha Jayanti and the vrata done on Narasimha Jayanti. That is the 174th Adhyaya. 175th is this Gita. So then Devi asks, or I think right, maybe if not exactly before, it is very close. All the Masa Mahatmyas come, all of that comes. Then Devi asks Vishnu, I want to hear about Gita Mahatmya from you. And then she asks one more question saying, you are supposed to be the Sthitikaraka, you are supposed to be the Paramatma that controls the Srishti Sthiti Layas of the Jagat. Why are you always sleeping on this Adishesha? That one shloka, Mahavishnu Upasmahe, the Puranakara does Namaskara to Vishnu. Then Devi asks this question to Vishnu. You are supposed to be in charge of this entire Prapancha. You are supposed to be alert in doing the Srishti Sthiti Layas. Why are you always sleeping? Then Vishnu says, Bhagavan tells that I am doing dhyana of one tattva. There is one tattva that I am always meditating upon. What is the nature of that tattva? There Bhagavan tells, Tadeva maksharanjyoti ratmarupa manamayam anantananda sandoha nispandi dvaita varjitam. There is one tattva that is there. It is the pure ananda. It is a jyoti swarupa. So why does Shastra say jyoti? Because a jyoti does not have any qualities. It does not have any rupa. It does not have any guna. It is just a ball of light. So it is that kind of a jyoti. It is anamayam. That tattva has no doshas with it. So, and dvaita varjitam, there is no duality in it. So, it is not like there is this tattva and one more thing. That tattva is the only thing that exists. Such a tattva I am meditating upon. And then Bhagavan tells, you know what this tattva is? This tattva, where can you find this tattva also? Bhagavan tells that Nirmathya Bahudhalochya Veda Shastrambudhim Sudhihi Dvaipayano Yadasadya Gita Shastram Pranitavan. I am meditating upon that tattva which Vedavyasa Maharshi wrote in Gita. Yad Asadya, having gotten which tattva? Vedavyasa Maharshi, Sudhihi Dvaipayanaha, Vedavyasa Maharshi of a great intellect, Veda Shastrambudhim Nirmathya Bahudhalocya, having churned all the Vedas and Shastras, having thought about it well, Asadhya, whatever conclusion that Vedavyasa Maharshi came to, whatever tattva that Vedavyasa Maharshi came to and wrote Gita, that is the tattva that I am doing dhyana of. That Dvaita Varjitam Tattvam is what I am doing dhyana of. Then Devi acts confused, because see, Devi also knows Vishnu's tattva better than any of us. She is Vishnu of Prathama Kinkari. No one knows Vishnu better than her, Mahavishnu better than Sri Devi. But yet, for the sake of the Purana, for people like us, she then asks some question. How can you say that you are meditating upon some tattva? Because you are the Paramatma, there is no one above you. So what is it that you are ending up meditating upon, that you are saying is being talked about in Gita? There again Bhagavan tells her, when you say Paramatma, you are thinking of me as Narayana, Chaturbahu, Sheshatalpa, all of this. But Maya Mayamidan Devi Vapur Me, Natu Tatvikam, Srishtisthithyupasamhara Kriyajalopa Brahmitam. Acharya had mentioned this shloka in the Vardhanti Anugraha Bhashana as well. Bhagavan basically tells her, this Rupa I have, this Chaturbahu Rupa, Shankha Chakra, Nila Rupa, all of this sleeping on Adishesha, this Rupa is not Tatvika. This is not my actual form. This is my form, but this is not my absolute form. Why does this form exist? It is Maya Mayam. Using my Maya, I have taken upon this form. So I have one Rupa of its own. My Tattva is on its own, there is one Tattva. But I appear to you with this Rupa when I take upon Maya. But without this Maya, there is one Tattva that is there, that is without this Rupa. So then Bhagavan tells this. And there also, why have you taken upon this body? For Srishtisthithyupasamhara Kriyajala. For the sake of carrying out this Srishtisthiti Layas, I have taken upon this body. This is one thing that Bhagavan tells there. And then he carries on to tell that, so that is why I have taken upon this form. So then that still remains that, so that tattva you have told about in Gita. So how did this come? Bhagavan said, there is one tattva that is there in Gita. That is what I am doing dhyana. Devi said, are you not that tattva? Bhagavan said, no, what you are seeing, this Rupa is not that tattva. My tattva is separate. That is what I am doing dhyana of. Idam vapuhu mayamayam. So then what is that tattva that is told in Gita? Is that you or is it something else? There Bhagavan tells, Shuddha Samvit Prabha Labham Paranandaika Sundaram Rupam Aishwaram Atmaikya Gamyam Gita Asu Kirtitam. So this tattva that is mine, Aishwaram Rupam, my Ishwara's Rupa that is told in Gita is Shuddha Samvit Prabhalabham. It is that tattva that gives you Shuddha Samvit, because there is, as we said, it is Nirguna. It is just that Satchit Ananda. So only a Shuddha Sattva, Shuddha Jnana is there. Paranandayika Sundaram. Only that Ananda is there. Then Atmaikya Gamyam. This tattva is arrived at when you understand the Aikya between the Jiva and the Brahman. Atmaikya Gamyam Rupam Aishwaram. So whatever Swarupa it is that you arrive at when you understand the Aikya between the Jivatma and Paramatma, that Aikya is my true nature. My true nature is not this form of Ishvara that you see, and obviously it is not the Jiva. Because this, as when Bhagavan says Mayamidam Vapurdevi, that means that the Rupa of Ishvara is Mayamaya. It is not Parama. The Rupa of the Jiva is not Parama. But the Shuddha Chaitanya of the Jiva and the Shuddha Chaitanya of the Ishvara is one. That Shuddha Chaitanya is my true form. And how do you arrive at that? Atmaikya Gamyam. That tattva that is of the nature of this Jiva Brahmaikya is the tattva that I am meditating upon. That is my Ishwaram. That is my true nature. And that only Gita Asu Kirtitam. That is only what has been talked about in Gita. So we have it from Bhagavan. The same Paramatma that told the Gita is now telling, that same Paramatma is now telling Lakshmi that the tattva that is told in the Gita is of the nature of Jiva Brahma Aikya. That is my true nature. And it is for that itself that Vedavyasa Maharshi churned out the Vedas and Shastras, got this tattva and wrote Bhagavad Gita, putting this tattva in that. So we have it very clear what the tattva of Gita is. Now we see that Bhagavatpada has told nothing other than this. This Jiva Brahmaikya, this Shuddha Jnana has been brought out beautifully in the Gita Bhashya without having to resort to crazy interpretations, without having to tell some meaning for some other word, without having to do some verbal jugglery, and without pushing his own Siddhanta on it. We see very clearly that Bhagavatpada did Gita Vyakhyana as it is. Which is why in many places the Gita Vyakhyana of Bhagavatpada will sometimes look like the Kavya Vyakya of Malinatha. So how does Malinatha's Vyakya go for Kalidasa? The Kalidasa's word will be there. Then one Paryaya Pada will be, one synonym will be put to show what that word means. Mahikshitam, Maharajanam. He will put like that. Mahikshitam will be Kalidasa's word. From there Maharajanam, he will put next to that. Vagartha Pratipattaye, Shabdartha Jnanaya. Vagartha Pratipattaye will be Kalidasa's word. Shabdartha Jnanaya will be Malinatha's word. So it will be Mula Pada meaning. Mula Pada meaning. Sometimes Bhagavatpada writes like that.
Yes.
Kaunteyaha, Kunti Putraha Arjunaha. What is the need for Bhagavatpada to so painstakingly, honestly, in coming one step down from the level of the Sutra Bhashya to write this word means this word? It is because Bhagavatpada is taking the utmost care to ensure that this Bhagavad Gita Bhasha is not a fanciful interpretation. The word that you see means this. No, you put these words together, you get one meaning. That is what Gita means. You don't have to run elsewhere for the meaning. Bhagavatpada is very clear about this. And Madhusudan Saraswati has followed in the same path. Sridhara Swami more or less has actually done his Vyakya kind of a sankshepa of Madhusudan Saraswati, which is in many cases, sometimes the same shloka, the same Vakya also will be there. So these people, because they are following Bhagavatpada, have done the same thing. But this trait of making sure that we are not interpreting the text anywhere, we are reading the text. That is how Bhagavatpada does it. And so this is one reason why Bhagavatpada is inevitable, because unlike other commentaries, Bhagavatpada is not showing a meaning in Gita. Bhagavatpada is taking the meaning of Gita, not showing a meaning of Gita. One more thing is, without the Gita Bhashya, as you said, there are many places in the Gita where things seem contradictory, where some things actually just don't even make sense. Karmanya karmayah pashyed, akarmani cha karmayah. We don't, this is the usual person will not understand this. Then karmanohyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha, akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. What is karma, vikarma, akarma? What do we mean? So unless Bhagavatpada writes, karma means vihita karma, vikarma means nishiddha karma, akarma means karma rahitya. Unless Bhagavatpada writes this, we have no idea what this means. Karmanya karmayah pashyed. In karma, you should see akarma. What does this mean? In the loka, it seems as though karma is taking place. But the jnani will see that this is under this all is atma padartha that does not have karma, that does not do anything. So in the midst of all of this action that is happening, the jnani will see the atma that does not have any attachment to that underneath. In this way, unless Bhagavatpada explains some things, we will never be able to understand some shlokas of Gita. So first and foremost, the Vyakhyana of Bhagavatpada is necessary because it is a straight Vyakhyana. It is a true Vyakhyana. It is honestly not even a Vyakhyana. It is a mirror. Bhagavan told Gita, the mirror is put here.
In fact, in some places, Arjuna also tells, Vyamishrenaiva Vakyena buddhim mohe sivime. So we see the direct listener also getting confused.
Correct.
So without doubt, any of us who reads the Gita direct, there is a lot of gap where we can fall into it.
Correct. So in the end also, Sarvadharman Parityajya, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. If this was the case, then why did even Bhagavan start telling Arjuna about Swadharma? If the point is Sarvadharman Parityajya, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, then what is the point of pushing Arjuna into his Swadharma? Then Sarvadharman Parityajya means you don't worry about karma. Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, Jnanam Sharanam Vraja. Then you will be left, you will be rid of your karma and you will be Shanta, Sukhi, all of that comes. In one more meaning, it is leave the karma phalas to Ishvara. You just do your work and leave it to Ishvara. So all of these meanings, unless Bhagavatpada gives us, someone will come along and say, you don't need to do Sandhya Vandana, no need for Vedic karmas. You just do Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, you do Bhagavan Nama Japa, and you do Gita Parayana, and that is it, you will get moksha. Someone will come along and tell this meaning, unless Bhagavatpada gives us the proper meaning of this. So that is why it is imperative that Bhagavatpada's Bhashya is read, because it is straight meaning.
To add to the beauty of what you have told, Prasangate, as Bhagavatpada Acharya insisted on all this performing of your karmas, which means Nitya Karma, etc., we even find people telling that Bhagavatpada Acharya has not recommended karma at all in his Bhashya.
Yes.
That is
a mark of not reading Bhagavatpada.
Yes.
That is a surefire sign of not reading Bhagavatpada.
So,
because Taduditang karma svanushtiyata means the second Upadesha. So you cannot argue that Bhagavatpada has put karma aside.
Yes. As you rightly told, it explains the insufficient education of people who are commenting upon Bhagavatpada Acharya's Vyakhyana. without reading it in the first place.
Because in Gita itself, Joshayet Sarva Karmani, Vidwan Yukta Samacharan, you should say, please do your karma. Vidwan should do the karma with the yoga. What that yoga is, Bhagavan has talked about. Bhagavatpada doesn't Vyakhyana exactly as is. So forget about Bhagavatpada's other ratings. Within Gita itself, there is no doubt that Bhagavatpada has given a very important sthana to karma. That is why in the end, Bhagavan also says in Gita, in the last shloka, in the last adhyaya, when Arjuna is asking about sannyasa, yajnadana tapah karma natyajyam karyameva tat yajnadana tapascheva pavanani manishinam. This yajna tapas karma, you should not let go of that. The samsari should not let go of that, because pavana there means chitta shuddhi. It gives chitta shuddhi, so you have to do it until that chitta shuddhi is gotten. So Bhagavan is clear about this, and this is the meaning that Bhagavatpada has written. Obviously, because Bhagavatpada is not trying to write some other meaning. He's only writing what Bhagavan has told.
We even see this in the 3rd chapter, where Bhagavan tells karmana eva hi samsiddhim astita janakadeya. Bhagavatpadacharya writes that even Bhagavan has told karmana eva hi samsiddhim astita. Even janakadeya have acquired this through karma. Bhagavatpadacharya writes karma is there to give you chitta shuddhi. After attaining chitta shuddhi, you have to undergo Vedanta Shravana Nidhyasana. You have to attain Tattva Jnana, and only then you will attain moksham. So kramena, you have to come in the krama. So Bhagavatpadacharya is addressing, is telling us, take up karma, utilize karma. Once it has given its phala, drop and come to Atma Jnana. This is what. So nowhere Bhagavatpadacharya has told you to not perform karma at all. That is a very wrong interpretation.
Because Bhagavan has told exactly this. Traividya mam somapah potapapa yajni rishtva swargatim prathayante. Te punyamasadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. Te tam bhukta swargalokam vishalam kshene punya mrityalokam vishanti. Evam trayi dharmam, there the trayi dharma there is karma, just karma. Anuprapanna gata gatang kama kama labhante. They come and they go, they come and they go, they come and they go. The phalas also come and go, phalas come and go. So Bhagavatpada will never say that this is the end result of karma. Karma is there to give a phala. Karma can also give chitta shuddhi. So only when that karma is done, it will help for jnana. The karma for the phala will not help in jnana. So Bhagavan is clear about this, and Bhagavatpada is also very clear about this.
And we also see the beauty. Bhagavan in Gita refers to Janakadeya, who keep performing karma even after attaining Atma Jnana. Even Bhagavan tells that, Arjuna, I don't have anything to attain. I don't have any duty to be performed. But still I keep engaging in duties. So Bhagavatpadacharya comments on both of these sloka. But behind the screen, we also see Bhagavatpadacharya himself being an Atma Jnani, but performing innumerable number of activities like Chaturhamnaya Pita Sthapanam, Prasthanatraya Bhashya Rachanam, Prakarana Granthadi Rachanam.
So many devalayas that were protected in
including Badrinarayana Kshetram,
Dwaraga, Puri Jagannatha. The entire process of selecting the Jagannatha today is set in place by Bhagavatpada.
Yes, right from Kanyakumari in the bottom till Kashmir and at the top. Bhagavatpadacharya has created puja vidanas for many temples, as we still hear in those temples only. So he was performing duties unattached, as Bhagavan has told.
Unattached and unbound, exactly as Bhagavan has told. So as you said in Gita, Bhagavan says, Yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Yajnarthat anyatra karma bandhano lokaha. Aside from karma that is done for the sake of yajna, this world is bound by karma. Meaning karma done for yajna is not binding karma. Then we will immediately get the doubt, isn't a big part of karma this yajna only? Tasmad yagadireva dharmaha is what Shastra is telling us. So how does this work? It is because Bhagavatpada knows this, that Bhagavatpada nicely gives the bhashya that yajno vai vishnuho, the Veda Vakya is told. Yajna arthat means Bhagavadarpana buddhya, Bhagavadartham kritam karma. Any karma that you do not for the sake of the phala, but without phalabhisandhi, for Ishvara, that will not bind you. So Bhagavatpada understood this from the Gita and performed it also, which is why out of, as you said, everything that Bhagavatpada, all the texts that Bhagavatpada wrote, all the yatras that Bhagavatpada did, putting these 4 pithas, setting in place a code for these pithas, making sure that the sannyasa parampara is good there. Then all these devalayas around, everything that Bhagavatpada did, all these vadas that Bhagavatpada did, we don't see anywhere that there is anything that Bhagavatpada got from this. One paisa was not gotten, one biruda was not gotten for that this was not done. No wealth was attained. There is nothing that Bhagavatpada got from this. In fact, even when people came to give things, Bhagavatpada said, I don't want this. So we see that clearly Bhagavatpada, whatever Bhagavan told in Gita, Bhagavatpada understood, wrote and showed us to. So that is why Yadyadacharati Shrestha Tattadevetaro Janaha and Yadyahan Navarteyam Jatu Karmanyatandritaha Mavartmana Vartante Manushya Partha. Whatever Krishna has told in Gita about why he acts the way he acts, we see that the same thing applies in the way that Bhagavatpada acts and in the way that all the Jagadgurus of this Peetha also act. Because we see even once one person asked Jagadguru Chandrasekhar Bharati Mahotsava, his student only asked once, you are a Brahmajnani and Avadhuta in that Jnana Sthiti, Jivan Mukta. Why are you taking so long to do this puja? Straight answer is, it is my vidhi. It is my duty as an acharya of the Peetha. Second response being that, if I myself don't do Bhagavad Aradhana, why will my Shishyas do? Why will Astikas do? So, and besides that, Ishvara Upasana has to be done. So, keeping this in mind, it is my duty to do this karma. So that same bhavana that you see in Jagadguru Chandrasekhar Bharati Mahaswami is the same bhavana that has been in this parampara from Acharya to Acharya, up to Bhagavatpada, up to Vyasa Maharishi, up to Paramatma himself. That same thing is seen in the Gita.
As you rightly told, when a lot of kings came and offered Bhagavatpada Acharya and he did not accept them, Prasangat, as you referred, Jagadguru Chandrasekhar Bharati Mahaswami held, we find an anecdote that there was a huge amount of money that was coming in from Mysore Samrajyam, and a particular percentage was dedicated to Acharya. And Acharya did not take a penny out of it, and it got accumulated year after year after year. And there are stories where Shekanda Shastrigal went to Acharya and asked again and again, what should we do with this? And Acharya did not have a sankalpa towards it. That is what the first answer was. The story goes on. Then Acharya gives an advice, it is spent in the right way, all that happens. But to support your statement, from Bhagavatpada Acharya, all the Acharyas have the same internalization of the Dharma given in Gita. Now that was with respect to karma. We see karma getting emphasized in a lot of places in Gita, but we understand that is in support for jnana. On the other side, we see jnanam that is getting emphasized, which is the actual tatparya of Bhagavad Gita. There is something in between these two, which happens to be upasana or bhakti. Now, from the literature, when we see, bhakti either leans towards karma at times or it leans towards jnanam at times. When bhakti leans towards karma, it happens to be our nitya karma, naimittika karmas, all those karmas, you do it as an offering to Bhagavan. We are calling it bhakti. So either bhakti is in this side. On the other way around, if you want to do Ishvara Tattvajnana Vichara, that bhakti is leaning towards jnanam. We see a lot of slokas in Bhagavad Gita where bhakti, in fact Sharanagati, is emphasized. Bhagavan is repeatedly telling, I will be taking care of my devotees. Tesham aham samuddarta mrityu samsara sagarate. In fact, in one of the important slokas in the 7th chapter, Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duradhyaya Mameva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. So the first half Bhagavan is giving us fear, telling that this Maya is something that is very difficult to cross over. Bhagavan is not telling impossible, but it is possible, but it is difficult, of course. He gives the solution in the second line. Parantu mameva ye prapatyante. But if you surrender it to me, now here is a point that requires a good level of discussion. To supplement this with more slokas, Bhagavan tells, Nahi kalyanakrit gacchati durgatim tata gacchati, name bhaktaha pranashyati. So likewise, Ananya Chintayan Tomam Ye Janaha Pariyupasate, Tesham Nityabhiktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. In all these places, Bhagavan is also emphasizing bhakti. But as we see people who are extremists in cases. As we see karmatas who are extremists, who tell that there is no requirement of Ishvara, there is no requirement of any other Shakti, but karma we do, karma will give us phala. Likewise, karma alone is enough. The same way, we have people who are sure and thorough supporters of bhakti, who go on to a level by telling that we don't want jnanam at all. We don't want jnanam. We are ready to be born again and again and again, provided if I am going to be a devotee of you.
That shloka is there, no? It is better to be a jackal in Vrindavana than to get the Advaita Jnana. There is one shloka, Bhagavatpada quotes in the beginning of Sanatana Dharma and says something like Parama Moha Vilasitam Idam, or this is the biggest fool who will say this. Something like that.
Yes.
So,
but what we, from an Advaitic drishti or as a jignasu of Advaita Jnana, what we try to understand is, my Acharya used to give a very nice example. My Shastra Acharya used to give. He once said that one man was getting into a boat in Varanasi, in Kashi. So the boat was going in the Ganges. On one side there was Ganga Arati that was going. On the other side there was Vishwanatha temple where the bell sound was heard. It was very nice. Sun was setting in one side, and this fellow told, and he also found the Roman, the person who is who is rowing the boat. He is also singing a very nice song. This person who has got into the boat to reach the other side tells that I don't want to reach the other side at all. I'm just enjoying this yatra. So he doesn't actually mean to tell that he doesn't want to go to the other side. Correct. He means to insist that I am enjoying this yatra. Correct. So I'm enjoying my upasana. In that stage, he utters such a statement. But what happens? Knowing that the sun will fully set, yes, the bells will stop ringing in the temple, yes, and the Arati will also have to finish at some point. Yes, so it has got a starting, it will end. Agam Abhayinaha. So it will start and it will end. But what happens is, somebody who is not able to understand the real emphasis of the sloka, take this very literal and keep telling that bhakti alone is enough. As Bhagavan has told, bhakta is very closer to me. He uses the word bhakta. So, as a point of discussion here, as we are narrowing down to the Tatparya of Gita, we just now we discussed the importance of karma. Now coming into the bigger point of bhakti, because we see acharyas who followed Shankara. For example, Madhusudana Saraswati Swami, who has overemphasized or who is largely emphasized on bhakti. We see Jnaneshwari, who is largely emphasized on bhakti. And these people are all followers of Shankara only. I'll give you an example. In the Marathi Sampradaya, they used to tell that Bhagavad Gita happens to be a very big vana, where they are not able to see the start and end. But given that there is an elephant that has walked in front of them, the elephant has given them the path. It has crushed a path. It has created a path in the forest. And that is the Shankara elephant, who's walked into the Gita, showing this is how it has to be approached. So these commentators know. But the point is, who reads this commentary, they are overstressing or overemphasizing on bhakti. Can we further discuss the sthana for bhakti in Advaita Vedanta? As a commentator on the Prasthanatraya, we see Bhagavatpada Acharya himself exhibiting a lot of bhakti bhavas, especially in the stotras. At times even in the bhashyas and in the Prakarana Granthas also. For example, Bhavani Tvam Dase in Saundaralahari. In Shivanandalahari, Acharya writes, Ankolam Nijabija Santati Rayakkantopalam Suchika Bhakti Kimna Karot Ityadi. So, we see there is a sthanam for Advaita Vedanta. The point of discussion for the sake of our Shrotas is, where is it? Where is it ending? Till what point we have to be bhaktas? Or how will a bhakti be at the start? How will it nourish towards Advaita Vedanta? What is Bhagavatpada Acharya and especially Krishna here is recommending to us? Can we move towards this sort of discussion?
Yeah. So, this is a very pertinent topic yet again, because it is a doubt in many people's mind that bhakti exists between a bhakta and Bhagavan. In the middle is bhakti. So only when bhakta and Bhagavan are separate can one do bhajana of the other. The word bhakti means bhajana. The pratyaya is different, but the meaning is the same. So this is a very important question to be answered, because this is a common word, because bhakti requires a bhakta and Bhagavan. Between these two exists bhakti. The relationship between these two is bhakti. A relationship necessitates two entities. So in Advaita, where there is only one entity, how can there be a relationship, first of all? So Advaita has no place in Bhakti has no place in Advaita. So it is other sampradayas and other schools of thought that have given prominence to Bhakti and taken Bhakti forward. This is a misconception that has been there for a while in many people's hearts. So it is very clear, as you said, if we look at any of Bhagavatpada stotras, how important Bhakti is. So it is, I have told this in some bhashanas earlier also, that we have one style in our Shataka Sampradayas, in Samskrita Sahitya, that every now and then we will see Shatakas devoted to a feeling, not to a Devata or something, but to a feeling. So for example, you have the Vairagya Shataka of Bhartrihari. So the topic of the Shataka is Vairagya, which is a feeling. In the same way, there are such things. Vedanta Deshaka has written Daya Shataka about Venkateshwara's Karuna. It is a very nice poetic work. So in the same, there are some Shatakas that are dedicated to one Bhava. So in the same way, I have told that we can conceive that maybe the first of these kinds of works is Shivananda Lahari, where it looks like the topic is Shiva, but we can call it Bhakti Shataka, because in those 100 shlokas of Shivananda Lahari, what has been discussed is what is Bhakti, what should the Bhakta be like, who is the Bhagavan that you are having Bhakti to, but most of the emphasis is on Bhakti. How can the manas be put on Bhagavan? There is no greater Bhakti than that. The manas merging in Bhagavan is the greatest form of, is the ultimate form of Bhakti. How we will see? Because manas merging into Bhagavan is moksha.
Yes.
But it is the nature of what is this merging is what we have to see. So that is what is being discussed in Shivananda. So I have said that we should call it Bhakti Shataka. If you want to know what Bhakti is, regardless of who you are, no caste, creed, gender, no this and that. If you want to know what Bhakti is, you will get the full picture of Bhakti in Shivananda Lahari. So such a Bhagavatpada obviously will never let go of Bhakti. Bhakti is very necessary, and because we are tying everything to Gita, Bhagavan tells us in Gita, when telling etad jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadataha anyatha. So whatever is, when you say etad jnanam, I mean this is all the samagri for jnana. Anything other than this is a samagri for ajnana. So what is the samagri for jnana? Amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantihi, arjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, stairyam, atmavinigraha, indriyartheshu vairagyam, anahankara evacha, janma mrityujara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam, asaktihi, anabhishvangah putradara grihadisho, nityanja samachittatvam ishtanishtabhavattisho, maichananya yogena bhaktihi avyabhicharini. Vivikta desha sevitvam aratarjana samsari adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanartha darshanam etad jnanamiti proktam. So all of this is the gamut of what all qualities subsist of the jnana marga. This is the jnana marga. Jnanam, etad jnana means this is the jnana marga. This is what is needed for the jnana marga. In that is maicha ananya yogena bhaktihi avyabhicharini. Bhagavan has given an entire half shloka for what bhakti for the jnana marga is. Maicha, in me, here is Vishaya Saptami. So the bhakti is Madvishaya, Madvishayani bhakti. Ananya yogena bhakti. So this word Ananya yogena has to be taken now. Which means without yoga is attachment, without attachment to anything else. What does this mean? What does it? Because if you are praising Bhagavan, what kind of bhakti is there that is not towards Bhagavan? Then you will have to say, no, it is not bhakti towards a king or something, it is bhakti towards Bhagavan. There is no need for Bhagavan to specify that in Gita. Which is why Bhagavatpada rightly commentates there, Ananya yogena Bhagavataha Vasudevat param nasti iti ananyaha. There is, for whom there is no anya, that is ananya. There is no other thing, that is ananya. And the same thing is commented in Ananyashchintayanto mam yajanah paryupasate. Their upasana is bhakti only. So those people who are ananyaha means they have, there is no second. Aprithak bhutaha param devam narayanam is what Bhagavatpada writes there. Aprithak bhuta, they are not separate from Narayana. Whatever Narayana's true nature is, their same nature is that they know that. Tadeva chintayantaha. They are thinking of that also. And for this Ananyashchintayanto mam, even more clearly, Madhusudan Saraswati Swami writes, Anyaha, Bheda Drishti Vishayaha na vidyate yesham te ananyaha. Anyaha means Bheda Drishti Vishayaha. This is, see, the thing is, as I said, this is not a meaning that we have to find. This is, what does Anya, what do you call Anya? Anya means something that is different. So when you have a difference, the object of the difference is called Anya. When I say, he is different. We means x is different from y means there is bheda between x and y. When you say x is different, we mean that x is different from y. That is the bheda. Bheda drishti means you are cognizing that, and the object in the cognition is x. That is what we mean. So this is what bheda drishti. When you tell that in Sanskrit, it is bheda drishti vishayaha anyaha. Those for whom there is no such object of bheda drishti is ananya. Means forget about other devatas or something. He does not even see himself as separate from Paramatma. Because the second you say that I am separate, he is separate, that is the state of the bhakta, and this is not a wrong state. That is one more thing. In no place has this Dvaita Bhakti been put down. Which is why it is nice that under the Chhatra of Advaita, under the Rakshana of Advaita, every single school of thought can find a place to safely be. Because we will tell karmatas, you come, karma is very important, you stay with us. We will tell these pure bhakta people, bhakti is very important for jnana, you stay here. The Sankhyas will come, yes, tattva jnana, padartha jnana is exceedingly important, you stay here with us. Yoga Marga people will come, yes, it is very important to have that Mano Niyamana, to have the Mano Nigraha, you also stay with us only, you are needed for us. So it is under this umbrella of Advaita that every other darshana will find a place. So keeping that in mind, also keep in mind that this Dvaita Bhakti is still necessary. This is the Jnani state, which is why then the rest of the shloka actually makes sense. Because there the question comes, if they do not see anything as different from Bhagavan, then there is no, and they say here that pravritti and nivritti is caused by bheda drishti. You only act to get something or act to get rid of something as long as you see bheda. So for such a jnani who does not see anything as different from Paramatma, he will not act to get anything or to get rid of anything. Then how does he exist? See, he can be a jnani, but he still has to eat food. He cannot just, think of something and live. He still has to eat food, he still has to breathe. So if he is not seeing anything as separate from Paramatma, and if only seeing something separately is the cause for action, then how does he live? For that Bhagavan says, Tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshevam vahamyaham. I being Ishvara, knowing their prarabdha, knowing what all it is that they have to get, knowing the level of their bhakti for me, I supply everything that they need to get. So only if you take this Ananyaschintayanto mam to mean the Abheda Jnani who knows that Atma is one, only for him there is a need for Paramatma to supply Yogakshema. For anyone else, there is no need for Yogakshema to be supplied by Paramatma. In the sense that Paramatma can, but it is not mandated. Only for the Advaita Jnani, Paramatma has to give because there is nothing else for him. So if we see this, we see very clearly that the bhakti here is Advaita Bhakti only. In the same way, we can also get one doubt that, we send one more, to give one more example, we see the shloka, Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvancha mai pashyati, tasyaham na pranashyami, sachame na pranashyati. This is one shloka. He who sees me everywhere, sarvatra, without exception, means including oneself. Sarvancha mai pashyati, knows that all of this is rooted in Bhagavan. I am never dasyaham na pranashyami. In English, the translation is, I am not lost to him. Sachame na pranashyati. He is not lost to me. What is this lost and found business? What is this concept? So here again, as I said, Bhagavatpada is so careful to not pull meanings out of anything. So here, na pranashyami. Here the nash dhatu has been used. So 90% of the time in Gita, wherever possible, and not just in Upanishad Bhashya also we see this of Bhagavatpada, wherever some verb has been used, when Bhagavatpada has to interpret that verb, he will give the meaning of the verb that Panini Maharshi gave. He will not put his own meaning into the verb and say that this word actually means this. Tat means atat, this all Bhagavatpada will not do. Bhagavatpada will give the meaning of the word as it is, as told by Panini. That is called Upadesha. Upadesha Adhyacharanam is what the Vyakarana Sutra, what the Vyakarana Maryada is. So when doing the Dhatu Patha, Panini Maharshi has given the Dhatu and its meaning. Bhu, Sattayam, Vasha Kantau, all of these, he has given the Dhatu and its meaning. Kri Karane. So all of this Panini Maharshi has given. So in the same way for this Pranashyati, this is the Nash Dhatu. Nash Adarshane. Nash means to not be seen. Nashyati means to not be seen. That is what we call lost in English, but the meaning nash adarshane, which is why Bhagavatpada is written here, tasya aham na pranashyami, aham paroksho na bhavami. Paroksha means that which is not directly seen. For him, I will never not be directly seen. It is very clear. So the jnani is one who sees Bhagavan everywhere, for whom Bhagavan is in nityanubhava. Bhagavan is always aparoksha for him. The only way you can get that aparoksha anubhuti of Bhagavan is when Bhagavan is the Atma Padartha, because besides Atma Padartha, everything else is paroksha. Atma is the only thing that is truly aparoksha. Everything else you either need indriyas or a manas to get. That is why in Shastra we have three words: Pratyaksha, Paroksha, Aparoksha. Pratyaksha is directly perceived. That which you need the indriya for. So you see a pot, you feel the breeze. This is all Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha, Aksha, Prati. Aksham Prati. So then you also have Paroksha. Means it is not directly seen through the indriyas. But experience of Atma is not, we say Pratyaksha, but it is more often called Aparoksha. It is Bhagavatpada has written one text called Aparoksha Anubhuti. So what is the need for saying Aparoksha? Why can't we just stick with Pratyaksha? It is because this Atma Padartha is not available through Indriyas. It is not an Aindriyaka Padartha. Which is why we cannot exactly call it Pratyaksha. It is not Paroksha because you cannot, it is not experienced through someone else's Indriyas. It is not like you see it and you tell me and I experience it. So it is not Pratyaksha, it is not Paroksha. So you say it is not Paroksha, Aparoksha. That is a name that is given. So that is what Bhagavatpada has written here. Na Paroksha, Bhagavatpada did not even write Pratyaksha Bhavati. Bhagavatpada wrote Na Paroksha Bhavati in the Bhashya. This is how clear and careful Bhagavatpada is. Nashyati, Adarshanam Gacchati, Paroksha Bhavati, Na Nashyati, Na Paroksha Bhavati. It is verbatim, the meaning of the shloka is being written, nothing else, but the meaning comes out so crystal clearly. So in this case also, the meaning is given. And then Rasya Mam Pashyati, Mam Bhagavatpada writes Vasudevam. Just in case we get worried and think that here Vasudeva means Vasudeva Putra Krishna. Sarvasya Antaratmanam. This Vasudeva is Vasanad Vasudevasya Vasitam Bhavanatrayam. He is called Vasudeva because Vasati Divyati iti Vasudevaha. He exists within things and he shines there. Therefore he is Vasudeva. So just to make sure that we understand what Bhagavatpada means by saying Vasudeva, next to Vasudeva, Vasudevam. Sarvasya Antaryaminam, Antaratmanam. That is what this Jnani is seeing everywhere.
So it is like Sat and Chit.
The Sat and Chit. Vasati Sat. Divyati Chit. That is exactly what it is. So Bhagavatpada is very clear that the person who sees Bhagavan as Sat and Chit everywhere, for that person, Atma will never be Paroksha. Atma will always be Aparoksha. That is the meaning of this verse. And this is the highest form of Jnana that Bhagavatpada has put forth. Now we get one more question. Well, then there are some cases, this is just to clarify one thing, because the reason I'm telling this is, some people have taken, as I said earlier, that wherever Mam, Aham, to be only Vishnu, and to say that all other devatas are put aside. And what some of these people say is, with their half-baked understanding of Bhagavatpada's Bhashya, they will point to one shloka. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrinyanti pitrivrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopi mam. This is one shloka that is there. So actually here we look at the sequence. Ananyashchintayantomam comes. So for those people who see me everywhere as Atma also, those people who have nothing else other than me, those people, those Advaita Jnanis, those Jivan Muktas are taken care of by me. What about other people? Ye pyanya devata bhaktya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhi purvakam. Those people who are bhaktas of other devatas. What we mean by other devatas means they do not see them as Paramatma. Which means people who do not have Paramatma drishti in a devata but do yajnas to them. Which is why there, I think Vasurudradayaha has been written. These are all the devatas who are the Vishayas of yajnas. So when you do a yajna, you do not necessarily have to see that devata is Paramatma. When you say Indraya Swaha, you don't have to see Indra as Paramatma. There are Ruk Suktas that show Indra as Paramatma. But it is not mandated that you have to see that Indra is Paramatma. Vasu Devata Gana. Rudra here means a Rudra Devata Gana. Rudra Gana. The Trimurti, not Parameshwara Rudra. So all these people, you do not have to see them as Paramatma. You can see them as just a devata, some conscious force that rules a part of Prakriti. Those people who worship those devatas, they worship me only as the antaryami of those people. Because it is Paramatma's Chaitanya only that is empowering those devatas. That is why we get in Taittiriya also, Sa Atma, Anganyanya Devataha. All these Indra, Varuna, Rudra, these people, when they are fulfilling only these partial roles, they are like the Angas of the full Chaitanya, which is Paramatma. So then why do they do bhajana of other devatas rather than Paramatma? Or one more thing is also asked then, if tepi mameva kaunte yajanti, and then Bhagavan says avidhi purvakam, they worship me through avidhi. So then we get the question, does this mean ashastriya things? No. Bhagavatpada clearly says avidhi ajnanam. They worship me not knowing it is me, because the phala only I have to give, and there is nothing other than me that they can see. If there is Bhagavan and something other than Bhagavan, you can worship something other than Bhagavan. There is nothing other than Bhagavan, so they are worshipping me only they don't know it is me, which is why we said Ishvara Drishti. They are not worshipping Indra, Rudra and all these people with the Drishti that it is Paramatma. It is still Paramatma's Chaitanya that is there, but they are not seeing them as Paramatma. That is the problem, which is why Aham sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhurevacha natumam abhijananti tattvena. They do not realize my true nature. Atahat shyavanti. That is why they will keep going up and coming, going and coming to Sarga and Naraka. That is what the meaning there is. Then these people that do puja or that worship other devatas are of threefold, based on their own antahkarana, as we know, sattva, rajas, tamas. There it is called yanti devavrata devan. People who have sattva guna, they will do these yajnas, and then devaganan, yanti devavrata devan. Here we get the Vasus, Rudra, Aditya, all of these people. Rajasa people, pitrin yanti pitravrataha, bhutani yanti bhutejyaha, yanti madhyajinopimam, madhyajinaha, paramatma bhaktaha, mam paramatmanam yanti. They will reach me. Who are these Bhutani Yanti Bhutejya? Here Bhagavatpada is written Bhutani, Vinayaka Matragana Chaturbhaginyadini is what Bhagavatpada has written. Immediately, people with the biased mindset have come and said, see, Bhagavatpada has put Vinayaka and Matragana under Tamasa Bhutas. So therefore, Ganesha should not be worshipped. Instead, worship someone else in the beginning of puja. Ganesha should not be worshipped. So they have taken it to be this way. So they have said that Mam means only Vishnu. So Bhagavatpada himself has written that Vishnu and Ganesha and Devi and all should not be worshipped. They are tamasic. So this is the situation. Smartas are doing all these tamasic pujas, is what some people have said. We need to understand here that here Vinayaka, this comes when you don't understand Sanatana Dharma properly and when you don't have an understanding of the complete gamut of texts. Vinayakas are a gana of bhutas. Because if when we do Ramayana Parayana also, we say Vinayaka prashamyante. Vinayakas are these bhutas that cause vignas. A particular set of bhutas that cause vignas are called Vinayakas. So that is what we say when Bhagavad Vinayakas. Then the Matraganas. Matraganas, if you know Bhagavata, you will know what Matraganas are. If you don't know Bhagavatam, you will say that Matraganas here means Chandi. When Matraganas are, they are this particular set of devatas that cause Bala Arishtas and Garbhini Arishtas. That is what these Matraganas are. They cause problems for pregnancies and children. And they are always, that is why they are coupled with Jyeshtha Devi, Shashti Devi. Shashti Devi is the Shakti of Subramanya who guards the babies. Her counterpart, the opposing force is these Matraganas. And we see this when when Putana Samhara is done. When Yashoda, she does Raksha for Krishna with Vishnu's name.
Yes.
And then she tells a list of all the bhutas that should be prevented by Vishnu's names.
Raksha.
So there she says, Putana and other such Matraganas, may they be pushed away by the power of Vishnu. May they be feared, maybe they become terrified by the power of Vishnu's name. Putana, etc. Matraganas. So if you interpret this Matragana to be the Sahodari, Padmanabha Sahodari who came as Yogamaya to assist Vishnu, to assist Krishna as the Saptama Garbha, if you say that Shakti is the Matragana that they are pushing away from Krishna as a Dushta Shakti, what can we tell such people? We cannot tell such people anything.
Yes.
So we need to be very clear that here Vinayaka means the Vigna Kartra Bhutas, not Ganesha. And not the Matragana here is not at all the Sapta Matrikas of Devi Mahatmya. So we need to be very clear in this. So there also when you say yanti madhyajino bhimam, so anya devata here we means, as we said earlier, that people who see these devatas as just devatas, not as Paramatma, they will get the phala of that, just that devatas puja. They will not get the full fruit of Paramatma Upasana, which is this Jnana Nishtha and Jnana Marga Sadhana and all of that. So it is very clear across Gita that the perfect Jnani is the perfect Bhakta. And just to crown this off, in case there is still any doubt that Bhagavan's greatest definition of Bhakti in Gita is Jnana, that is the Advaita Jnana, Bhagavan himself, we don't have to even show this many shlokas. Bhagavan tells clearly, we all know this shloka very much. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. There are 4 bhaktas. Janas sukritinaha. All of them are punyatmas only. Artha jignaha ratharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. So jnani first of all has been counted as a bhakta. Now we need to show that this jnani is the greatest bhakta. We don't have to show because Bhagavan told. Tesham jnani nityayuktaha eka bhaktihi vishishyate. Of those, the jnani is nitya yukta, because here we see that it is only the jnani that can have constant bhakti for Paramatma. All the other people, the second you think of anything else, you are not thinking of Paramatma in that second. It is only the jnani who sees Paramatma everywhere who will be nitya yukta, who will always be thinking of Paramatma. And he vishishyate, he is special. Priyohi jnaninotyarthamaham sacha mama priyaha atyartham priyaha. He is not just dear, he is exceedingly dear. Why? Udara sarva evete. These people, these bhaktas are all very great. Nowhere are these people who still have that bheda bhavana, they are not wrong at all. In fact, it is necessary to have that bhakti in that stage, because without that you will not come here. So, ete sarvepi udaraha. Look how nicely Bhagavan is telling us that this is not wrong, this bhakti is proper only. But jnani vishishyate. Why? Jnani to atmaiva me matam. Because the jnani sees himself as my own atma. I am the jnani is me. Not I am the antaryami of the jnani is my bhakta, my dasa forever. Or the jnani forever thinks he is my, this is not there. Jnani atmaiva. Atma means in oneself, is the meaning of atma in Sanskrita. Amongst other meanings, atma means oneself. Jnani atmaiva. The jnani is my own self. Astita sahiyuktatma mameva anuttamangatim. So, jnani tatamatam. So that is what Bhagavan tells. So it is very clear here that the jnani who is always seeing Paramatma everywhere is there. Now if we ask why, it is very simple. If we define Bhakti, Bhakti is
Satvasmin Parama
Prema Rupa is what Narada Maharshi has defined Bhakti as. The ultimate form of Bhakti. But this Bhakti is not just sitting and doing Ram Bhajan. That is a very good form of Bhakti. But this is not the Parama Bhakti. Because later, the next sutra, Narada Maharshi tells, Yallabdha Puman Siddho Bhavati Amruto Bhavati Trupto Bhavati. Yat Prapya na kinchid vanchati, na dveshti, na shochati, notsahi bhavati. He tells all of this.
The other forms of bhakti with a lot of prarthanas, with a state
that
of...
That is still bhakti. That is not bhakti. But we are talking here about the parakashta of bhakti. So this is the form of bhakti wherein, having gotten which bhakti, there is no cause for ragadvesha. That is what is being told in this Bhakti Sutra. This is only possible anytime there is a second padartha, there will be raga or dvesha. So clearly this bhakti is only that bhakti that does not even allow for a second padartha, even oneself.
But in the world, when we see people claiming themselves to be real bhaktas and having ragadvesha among other devatas, that is no way even closer to the bhakti as defined in Gita as what we understand.
Correct, because Bhagavan also tells us in Mahabharata, Madbhakta Shankara Dveshi, Madveshi Shankara Priyaha, Ubhautau Narakau Yado Yavat Chandra Divakaram, Bhagavan tells. Vishnu Bhakta, that is a Shankara Dveshi, Shiva Dveshi. Shiva Dveshi who is, or Shiva Bhakta who is Vishnu Dveshi, these both will stay in Naraka as long as the sun and the moon glow. And I'm just saying, the distance that this has gone, one person is telling that, correct, I will only worship this Devata, I will not worship even any other Devata, even for namesake. How is this a dosha? Because when woman is there, I'm telling you because I saw this the other day, when woman is there, she will call only her husband as her Bharta. Is that a flaw? Or if she calls 10 people as her husband, will that become a guna? It is because she calls only her husband as her Bharta and serves only him or assists only him that she is a Pativrata. So I will not look at anyone else. That is our guna. People who who worship many devatas, they are like a wife who calls many people as a husband. This is what they have told. To which our proper response should be Shivadvesha and Devi Dvesha for the sake of Vishnu, or Vishnu Dvesha and Devi Dvesha for the sake of Shiva is not. This is not the analogy. The analogy is, my husband, when he is at home wearing the clothes that I like, is my husband. The second he changes his clothes, he is no longer my husband. I will divorce him. When he goes for work wearing an employee name tag, I will divorce him. He is no longer my husband. Then anything he wants from me, I will not do for him. I will hate him when he wears a different uniform. Only when he comes back and wears the clothes that I like, I will call him my husband. This is the actual situation that we should look at.
To add to this, I heard a set of people claiming that they have understood the bhashyas of Shankara more than anybody. And they have written a text to interpret the heart of Shankara, telling that Acharya had Vishnu Paratvam in mind while commenting on the Prasthanatraya. Just because Acharya has referred to Bhagavan Narayana in Bhagavad Gita again and again, as you rightly pointed out, they have extended this by telling that Acharya has predominance in his mind only to Vishnu. He did not have all the other devas in par with Vishnu. He had this Vishnu Paratvam in mind. So the whole reason of Bhagavatpada Avatara has been defeated here by bringing in Taratamyam in the works of Shankara himself.
Correct. So that is why we should be very clear that in no case has Bhagavatpada allowed for this. No, forget Bhagavad, no case has Bhagavan allowed for this. So very clear that the bhakti of Bhagavad Gita, the Parama Bhakta in Bhagavad Gita is this Jnani. Which is why when Bhagavan talks about bhakti, it is not just some sadhana. See, if you talk about Ishwaropasana as a sadhana for jnana, then it will be relegated there. But bhakti in many cases is discussed as a phala. Which is why when after Arjuna sees the Vishwarupa, Bhagavan says, Naham Vedair na tapasa na chejjaya shakyam evam vidho drashtum. You cannot see me in this form through Veda, Adhyayana, Tapas. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakyaha. You can only see me in the Vishwarupa through bhakti. And what is the fruit of this bhakti? So to understand what this bhakti is that you can see the Vishwarupa through, you have to understand the Vishwarupa. Vishwarupa, for the sake of artistic work in the calendar, we will put Krishna's head here, Shiva's head here, Brahma's head here, an elephant, a lion, a monkey, something you will put. But the Vishwarupa is actually Ananta Bahodara Vaktra Netram Pashyamitvam Sarvato Ananta Rupam. Vishwameva Rupam Vishwarupam. Seeing Bhagavan as this Vishwa. So you don't see, that is to say, you don't see the Rajju Sarpa as a Sarpa, you see it as the Rajju. In the same way, this Vishwa, you don't see the Vishwa as Vishwa, you see it as Paramatma. Like that. That is the actual Vishwarupa Darshana.
In that sense, Sahasranamam starts with Vishwam
only. That is why. So that is the Vishwarupa Darshana that Arjuna got. So how do you realize that Ekatma Bhavana, that there is only Paramatma? There is no Jiva separate from Paramatma. There is no Prapancha separate from Paramatma. How do you understand that? Bhaktyatvananyaya shakyaha. There also Bhagavan so nicely tells Jnatum, Drashtuncha, Tatvena, Praveshtuncha, Parantapa. These three happen through Bhakti. So what do these three mean? Jnatum, Bhagavatpada writes, Shastratah Jnatum. To academically understand this. It is only in the Jnana Marga that you will at least first realize that Eka Eva Atma, Jiva Brahmaikyam, all of this you will understand through Shastra only. So this Vishwarupa, within which is contained everything, you will understand only through Shastra. Jnatum. Then Drashtuncha, first you have to see the Paramatma. You have to understand this Rupa and experience that Rupa the way Arjuna saw the Vishwarupa. That is Drashtum, you can see it also. This is not the end of Bhakti. If Bhakti is the Dvaita Bhakti, then it will stop here. But it is because this is the Jnana Bhakti, it is Jnana is Bhakti, that Bhagavan says the last one, Tatvena Praveshtuncha. You will enter into that. How? Tatvena. You will not be separate from it. Tat Bhavati.
So one
with thatness, you will become that. So as the Vishwarupa, you will exist. So the point of the bhakti that Paramatma is telling is that jnana is bhakti, by which you will know, see and then merge into Paramatma. So it is resoundingly clear across Bhagavad Gita that the Parama Bhakti equals Jnana. There are many places in Gita where Dvaita Bhakti is told. That is why Vibhuti Yoga is told such that you will know where to do Ishwaropasana, where to worship Ishwara. That is the point of the Vibhuti Yoga. So Dvaita Bhakti is very much there. But the Parakashta of that is Advaita Bhakti, which is why even Vibhuti Yoga starts for Aham Atma Gudakesha, Sarvabhuta Shayastitaha. If you cannot see your Atma as Paramatma, then you go, then Prahladashasmi Daityanam, Mriganancha Mrigendroham, Vayanatayascha Pakshanam, Ramashastra Bhratamaham, Vasonam Pavakashasmi, all of this is if you cannot see Paramatma as the Atma. This is all the second level if you cannot do the first level. But it is very clear that the first level, first class, A class Bhakti, A grade Bhakti is Jnana Bhakti, wherein you see Paramatma as yourself. Now we said that Bhakti is Parama Prema Rupa. Now how does this work? Because it is that Parama Prema is only there towards Atma. For this the Upanishad Pramana is there in the Maitreya Brahmana, wherein he says, he tells Maitreya that Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. Navare Patyuh Kamaya Patih Priyo Bhavati. Atmanastu Kamaya Patih Priyo Bhavati. So in the same way it is told that it is Preeti towards Atma that everything becomes dear. There is nothing in this world that can be more dear than Atma. Because, very simply put, it is Ananda that we seek. Anything that we like because it gives us Ananda. Even when we give up some pleasure for the sake of someone else, we do it because seeing that gives us Ananda. A mother will give up eating so that the child can eat because the child eating gives her pleasure. It is that, the happiness that she feels, that is an amsha of her true nature. Etasyaiva anandasya matram anyani bhutani upajivanti. Anyani bhutani matram upajivanti. So it is told that all the anandas that we experience are slivers of the Atmananda only. There is no other ananda aside from that. So any ananda that you feel towards anything in the world is only a desire to feel your own Atma. Because Atma is not Anandavan, Atma is Ananda. So that desire to feel that Ananda, that is the Atma, is the desire to feel happiness. That is why every single being is hardwired to seek Sukha and get rid of Dukha. Because you are hardwired to experience yourself. You are hardwired to reject anything else. That is what it is. So now when you say you love Bhagavan beyond all else, that will only be possible when you realize that Bhagavan is yourself. So absolutely. That is the only way that it is possible. So the Auparishad Siddhanta is so clearly reflected in Gita, Jnani Tvatmaiva Me Matam, in that, because I am asked this Priyaha. There Bhagavan is Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. Here also Priyo Hi Jnaninotyartham. Jnani Tvatmaiva, the same words are being used. That is why you say, Evam Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishad. So, because it is so clearly done. And we thank Bhagavatpada for giving us Bhagavad Gita as it is. And not muddying it with his own thoughts. So to conclude, because this, not muddying it by his own thoughts, because Bhagavad Gita's thoughts are the Upanishads. Bhagavad Gita has no independent thought that he has put in. So Bhagavad Gita as it is Shankara Bhashyam only. Shankara Bhashyam. Without space for any wrong interpretation. So all the second forms or third forms of bhakti that you spoke about is Udara, Sarve ete Udara. They are not wrong. They are not at all wrong. And we are in that state only. But only it is not the absolute. That is the thing. So when we talk about bhakti here in Advaitam, it is not being a part of something or going to a particular loka or going there and attaining moksha or sitting there and saying none. It is here now. This is the best part of it. Not to say that going to that loka is somehow very easy. It is not easy. It is also you have to do a lot of upasana. The Dvaita Bhakti is also very tough to do properly. From this perspective, it is not the absolute. That is what we try to make. We don't put down or pull down anything. It requires its own efforts. Even that will take Aneka Janma Samsiddha easily. So it is not that. But Advaitam, what we tell, when we don't appreciate attaining or it to be given, here what we mean by Sharanagati is, it is as though a doll that is made up of salt going to Samudra Snana. Exactly. And to say Bhagavan says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. Yes. With bhakti, mam tattvato jnatva, he will understand me perfectly. Yes. What will that understanding do? Tadanantaram vishate. Therefore, he will merge into me. So that we don't call it, the doll has died there. It has expanded. The doll, it has not even, it has realized its true nature. That's it. The moment it is there, it has realized its original nature. It has, as you told, it has merged. It is praveshtuncha. Correct. So from this, we understand that the ultimate tatparyam of Bhagavad Gita is jnanam. Correct. The ultimate tatparyam with respect to bhakti in Advaita Siddhantam is that parakashta jnana. Bhakti is Dvaita Bhakti is a necessary prerequisite for jnana. Definitely. And jnana is the ultimate bhakti. Yes. That is how we can do it. Again, coming back to the Upadesham did by Acharya,
Keeping all this in mind, Acharya has summarized it into a single Upadesam. Start
Because
with
in
Gita
this line,
Parayana.
Acharya Upasanam is also there. In part of that is doing what the Acharya tells us.
Yes. In fact, Prasangate, in Jnaneshwari Vyakyanam, for this one word Acharya Upasanam, Jnaneshwara writes more than 100 OVs telling how important Acharya Upasanam is. He has taken it to the other end by telling how you totally submit it to your Acharya, even when you are living, even after living. He has gone to that level. You have to read that separately, then we'll be able to understand what he means by Acharya Upasana. So Acharya has given us a direct command. So all our life we've been waiting to do some service. If I can do some service to Acharya, can I do some kainkariam to Acharya? All Sishyas living far away have this in mind. Now is a chance that Acharya has given us a direct order.
Correct.
Do Gita Parayanam daily. At least Adhyayam, you start with that. Naturally, when your Gita, the moment you become fond with Gita, you will not be able to stop with one Adhyayam. You will not be able to stop with a Parayanam. We will come to the level as we discussed now. But the way Acharya put that to us was, it is my duty that I have to tell. I have told you. I don't know how many of you will follow this. There is the predominant role of a devotee that for a Sishya to ensure it to our Guru that whatever the Guru tells us, we'll have to perform it. Acharya has to feel happy that if I give an order to them, they will at any point, without telling that I did not have time, without telling I had too much of office work, as Mahasannidhanam used to tell, we have time for everything. We have time for TV, we have time for paper, we have time for talking, chit-chat, everything. But when it comes to Anushtana or Parayana, we don't have. So Sannidhanam, when Jagadguru Acharya told that, I have told what is my duty. Now the ball is in our court. We'll have to make it sure to Acharya that we are in line with your teaching. So Acharya should have to freely be able to give us more orders, telling that our devotees are readily taking it up. This part we'll have to do Samarpanam to Acharya as a part of this Vajrotsava Bharati Mahotsava, and expect more Upadesas. So when we are good with Gita, then again Acharya is going to start instructing us on Gita Bhashya Patanam. Then it will go further, implementing it. So from Shravanam to Mananam to Nididhyasanam, with the grace of Bhagavan, we should be able to complete it in this Janma, or with the grace of Bhagavan in the upcoming Janmas, this should complete with the grace of Acharya. So it was a very nice discussion.
Talking with you as usual. We have had many discussions like this off camera.
Yeah, off camera.
But on camera also we can share our thoughts nicely.
And that too in a place where all the siddhis have happened for most of our Acharyas.
Pavitra Kalabhairava
Devasthana. Where Jyeshta Mahasannidhanam had Sakshatkarams of many Devatas. Let that Sanidhyam help us go further towards Gita Arthanusandhana. Namo Namaha.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Namo Namaha.
Urdhvamulamadha shakham ashwatham prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda savedavit